What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction, and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole. I'm a person in recovery. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. Welcome to Real Talk Recovery, my people. Come on in. Come on in. Let's get excited. Let's get hyped, because tonight we're having a guest speaker. Hey. So come on in, drop your sobriety dates. If you're not sober, that's okay. We want you to come hang out with us anyway. So if you're not sober, tell me something that you are working towards. Tell me if you have picked a sober date yet. Tell me 2 things you're grateful for. I want to hear from you, okay? Share the video. Let people know that we're going live over here. If you got friends, share the video with your friends, okay? Who's this? Hey, Chase, I know you can hear me. Get off the guest one. I'm going to send you a invite to be a host with me. So sign out of where you're at and hang tight, because I'm going to send you a host request, okay? So y'all come on in. I'm going to share the video. Share the video, like the video, invite your friends. Share. And I'm going to share this on Facebook. And we got, yay. Okay, guys. So I'm going to be kind of like, oh God, so much going on. I got my computers out because I'm trying to get my job done today. I'm like so behind on all these things I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be scheduling all these new patients, and I haven't got them all scheduled yet. So come on in, everybody. Chase, hang tight. I'm going to send you a request in just a second. I just want to get all the audience in here. I want to get everybody in here and ready and built up. So y'all share the video, like the video. Let's get people in here. Share it to all of the people in the recovery community, okay? Go ahead and share it to everybody in the recovery community. Boom, chakalaka. Me too. Boom, chakalaka. I'm sharing it too. So share. And let's get everybody in here to hear Chase's story, okay? All right, there we go. So how's everybody's day go today? Everybody have a good Thursday? I did. Hey, Tosh, what's up, girl? We're having a guest speaker tonight, y'all. A boy, too. Come on in, y'all. Come on in.
New visitor.
Man, I'm telling you what, this phone has been ringing off the hook, y'all. Okay. I'm fixing to send Chase an invite in just a second. I just want to get all you guys in here so that way we got a good audience in here. You know what I mean? I do too, party baby. I love having guest speakers too. Yeah, me too. It's a good time. It's a good time. Okay, so this is what you're going to do, Chase, because I see you up there. Chase, you go live on your account right now, okay? And I'm going to send you an invite to join my live. So go live over on your side. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. Everybody come on in. We're going to have a good time. Chase is going to tell us a story. And, dude, I fucking found him because I was watching my friend Hunter's channel, TikTok channel, and he had showed a video of this guy that was, like, coming out of the hospital, and his chest was cut open, and I was like, holy shit, who's that motherfucker? And so I clicked on the name, and then it took me over to Chase's channel. So that's how I found who he was. Because I was like, damn. So he's going to have a good story to tell y'all. I'm excited to hear it. I'm excited. So, hey, Chase, did you go live on your side, on your channel yet? Go live over there so I can bring you over here, babe. Okay, now I think he's going to go live now. Good deal. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Oh, I need to charge my... Come on in, everyone. We're going to have a guest speaker tonight. Sober Savage is what his... I think his name is Chase. I might be calling him the wrong damn name. Wouldn't that be terrible? Hey, Mackenzie, what's up? Hey, Colo, what's up, honey? Where you been? I hadn't seen you in a minute. There we go. There we go. Here we go. What's up, man?
There we are. I've
Yes.
never done this on TikTok.
Well, welcome to the big dogs, honey.
I go
Okay,
live on
so
Facebook quite often, but I haven't been doing this on. I haven't done it on TikTok.
it's just like Facebook. So you're Chase, right? I'm saying your name right?
Yep,
Okay, just
Chase.
want to make sure. I didn't want to be like calling that and not be your name. You know what I mean? I'm
Definitely
really
my name.
excited. I saw Hunter's video that he posted the other day, and I was like, damn, I want to hear his story. I love having people come on and tell their stories. So the way we do it is basically I just let you take the lead. I'm just going to let you tell me what it was like when you were a kid growing up, like before you even got on drugs. Then tell me what it was like why you got on drugs, how it happened, what it was like in your active addiction, and then how you got sober and what your life is like now. And you can take an hour and a half, 2 hours, just as long as you need to take to tell your story. And if I
Okay.
have any questions or anything, I'll just kind of like say something or I'll
Yeah.
like that, and it's just easy. So you got
Okay.
it. Take it away, babe. Take it away.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for letting me come on this. I get a little nervous. I've done speaking events. I've done, like I said, I go live. I got a Facebook group. If you are on Facebook, it's called Savage Strong. It's a private group. It's a faith-based recovery group. I'll tell the story on how that got started. We'll
Okay,
get there.
cool.
So another thing about me is I tell a whole bunch of stories within one story. So I mean I get them all intertwined and they all come back together for the main story. So we'll start. I had a good childhood. Grew up in church. My real dad had left, so I guess that there's those abandonment issues and stuff like that. But my stepdad stepped in when I was 4 years old, and he ended up adopting us when I was 14. So he's been my dad. That's who I know as my dad. He raised us, took care of us. He's still my dad.
Yeah.
You know, but we would go see our real dad every once in a while, and it was one of them things. He wasn't ready to be a dad. So I caught myself, repeating the habits, or not the habits, repeating the
Cycle.
circle, the vicious
Yeah.
cycle. Yeah, I caught myself doing that with, I had a kid at a young age. I was 17 when I had my daughter. And thinking back, I was exactly like that. I would come in when it was convenient for me, and I would bounce back out. I would, just periodically pop in just when I started feeling guilty or so. Anyways, I had a good childhood, grew up. I started partying at a young age. Around 16, I started partying, doing experimenting with coke. Nothing too crazy. I say crazy. 16 years old doing coke is pretty dang crazy.
I think it is too. I was 17
Yeah.
when I started using hard drugs like that, so I understand. Tell me this real
Yeah.
fast. What kind of church did you go to when you were growing up?
So we grew up in a Pentecostal church,
So did I.
and
So
then
did I.
we moved to a non-denominational church.
I couldn't cut my hair, couldn't wear earrings, couldn't wear makeup, had to wear dresses down past my knees and past my elbows,
Yeah,
had long ass hair down to my butt crack.
that's exactly how all the women were, and the men were all suited up.
Yeah.
Then you had us little orphan children running around not caring.
That's what every time I tell my story, I tell people like I grew up sleeping underneath a pew. You know what I'm saying? And we
Yeah,
would go to
yeah,
revival, and it would be like four
yes,
days long. I was
yes.
same thing, same thing. Okay,
Watching
cool.
people run around the church like, oh man,
Doing
they got
back
the Holy Ghost.
handsprings and shit.
Yeah, they're just going crazy. And I like to go back to those churches every now and then. When I'm visiting churches, I'll go stop in the church I grew up in, and there's a new pastor now. It's the son-in-law. He's a pastor now, but I'll go stop by and every now and then when I got to get that Holy Ghost, get that running going, I stop
I
by.
remember the first time I ever I spoke in tongues, and I got saved basically, and I was
Yeah,
probably like 11 years old. And I just remember, I feel that feeling now whenever I'm like telling my story, and I get really emotional when I talk about my son, and it comes
yeah.
over me, and I can't even hold it back. But I was so young, and I remember, I don't need to get emotional, but I just
You're
remember
fine.
I loved God so much when I was a little girl. And then I got so far away from God. I got so fucked up on drugs, you know?
Yeah.
I just think about how we were so young and we were raised up in the church, and then how you can go from being like that to like totally the other way, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I just
that's
knew it.
I've noticed that with quite a bit of addicts, right? Like a lot of people that I've been helping out. That's either they were never in church or they grew up in church. You know, it's never just like, oh, I dabbled with church. You know, it's
Yeah.
like they either grew up in church and then went their own way, or they never even went to church ever. You know, and but that's, you know, like I said, we grew up 16 years old. 14 years old. I got a girlfriend, got a serious girlfriend. You know, how serious can you be at 14? But pretty dang serious. You know, ended up getting her pregnant when I was 16, had the baby at 17, my daughter.
What did your parents say? What did your mom and dad say about that? With you being like in the Pentecostal
my
church?
mom, I think she's watching this, and this is where I'm going to try to be different parent-wise. My parents, you know, they're amazing. I love them. They were great. But they're big-time enablers. You know, not no more. Hell no, not no more. My parents, they put their foot down now. They're done. They're over that. But, you know, where I'm going to try to be different in my parenting is I got away with murder. You know what I mean? Like, I got away, like, my daughter comes up to me and tells me she loses her virginity. It ain't going to be all, okay, cool, let's go get you on some birth control. And, yeah, you can still keep going to the bedroom with your boyfriend. And you can still, no, heck no, you're sitting in the living room, you know?
Yeah.
I got away with murder, you know? And even down to, like, I would get speeding tickets. My parents would pay them. I would do this, you know, like, they just bailed me out. My mom, all the way up until I went to the hospital, you know, she got tough love on me before I went to the hospital. But it took her, you know, I'm 31 now, so it took her 29 years to finally start getting that tough love, and that, you know, and that's once she finally saw how bad off I was. You know, it's either bury me or get tough. She pretty much almost had to bury me. You know, they had to plan my funeral.
But you were 16 and you had a kid. Like,
yeah, 16, got her pregnant. My baby was here when I was 17. You know what? I was too stuck in the party life. You know, I was partying big time. I worked with my dad, and I would go to work with my dad, but I would get off and go back to partying, you know. And so we didn't end up staying together, me and my daughter's mom. She was very mature for her age. You know, she grew up quick, and she took really good care, still does, of my daughter. And so she smartened up and she went about her way, and she just, you know, let me see my daughter whenever I would try to see my daughter. And so I, you know, from about 17, well, I got my first felony when I turned 18. Got a coke possession, evading arrest in a motor vehicle, and coke. So I had a party at my apartment. There was a fight downstairs. These two dudes, little boyfriends, they were going at it, man, and they were beating the crap out of each other. So we all come downstairs to watch it. And I get in my buddy's truck to do some coke. You know, I get some girls. They're in the truck with me. We're doing some coke, and I guess habit say coke. I got to touch my nose. We're doing some coke. Cops roll up, and they shine their flashlight at my truck. And my buddy Jig, man, he took off. He's a track star. He took off on foot. Well, all the cops took off after him. So I'm like, dang, they didn't even see me. I'm out. So I leave the parking lot. It's my apartment, but I leave the parking lot. And as I'm leaving, the cop hit me with the, you know, flashlight. But he didn't say stop. He didn't. I just kept on driving. Drove out the parking lot. Went to Whataburger. Met up with the friends that got away. Only 2 people got arrested. My roommate calls me. He's like, hey, man, the cops left. You can come back. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I go back, man. The cops did not leave. That came back. They had guns drawn. Like, it was crazy, outrageous. Driver, throw your keys out the window. Like I committed murder.
Yep.
And like I was freaking out. And I had a big old 8-ball in my pocket, you know. And I was like, so I'm freaking out. I grabbed the 8-ball. I put it in my Copenhagen can and closed the lid. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, I'm first time ever being arrested. So I'm like, what the heck's going on? You're getting evading arrest in a motor vehicle. So they search the vehicle. They find the coke. And I'm a piece of crap. I'm like, it ain't mine. there's only 2 other people in the vehicle. I'm like, it ain't mine. And they're
Right.
like, it sure as hell is. One girl was pregnant, and the other girl, and it's in the Copenhagen can. So they're like, yeah, it's yours, buddy. And so I go to jail, man. I'm freaking out. You get all these jailhouse lawyers, and they're like, man, yeah, no, you're going to prison. I'm like, I just barely turned 18 or 19. I can't remember, but I'm freaking out. I'm like, so I call my mom. And of course, I got it buttered up. I call her and I tell her it's not my drugs. It's not. I was with some people. It was their drugs. I just left the parking lot, which that part I did just leave the parking lot, but I didn't. It was my party. It was my bunch of minors drinking. So but I told my mom everything I had to tell her to get out. And so my mom and my dad, they're freaking out. They're like, I have two felonies on my record now. But they see my name's in the newspaper. Like their son, their baby, their youngest son is in jail with 2 felonies. Like his life's ruined. And but they got me out. They bailed me out pretty dang quick. I think I was there. So I don't even think I was there for 72
My
hours.
mom and dad would bail me out. They made me stay.
I didn't even make population. I was still in booking, and I got bailed out. And so I got bailed out. My mom's like, do you think you should move back home? Because my roommate, and that's what I told her. I was like, it was my roommate's truck. It was his drugs. It was this and that. And she's like, well, do you think you should move back home, get away from that environment? I'm like, no, I think I can get it under control. And so I go back to the my apartment, and I ended up moving back in with my mom and my dad. I'm working with my dad at the time. And I tell them that there's no issue. Well, they do random drug tests at my dad's company. And so I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh, heck. My name gets called. And so I go do the random drug test. And once again, I'm a manipulator. I'm an addict. I start figuring out a way to okay, now I'm going to tell them I have a problem, but I got it under control. So I wrote my dad this letter. And I wrote him a letter, and I wrote it on the mirror because I knew he woke up early in the morning. I wrote on the mirror in the bathroom. I was like, read the letter. And I knew he was getting the drug test results that day. And my dad was borderline abusive. You know what I mean? Like, my dad was a scary man. He borderline abusive. Like, he didn't take no shit. He was a big teddy bear, but in the same sense, like, if you're lying, whatever, like, it is what it is. Like, he got physical, Yeah,
anyways, my dad did too.
I'm freaking out. I'm like, man, he's going to see this. He's going to see my drug test results because they're going to call him at 8 a.m. And I did coke right before I went to the drug test. Like I'm sitting and we're working at a church doing electrical at a church. I'm going to the bathroom doing coke in the bathroom. And so I'm freaking out. I stayed up the whole night freaking out. Like, God. Heartstrings. No, you're fine.
Sorry.
And I was like, pull on his heartstrings. Let's work that. So I gave him the letter. I remember him going. I see the light in the bathroom come on. I'm like, oh God, here we go. So I'm sitting there just laying asleep, act like I'm asleep. And he comes in and he just kneels down on my bed. And I'm like, oh shit, he's about to punch me. Like that's my first thought. It's like he's about to hit me. I'm about to get beat up. And he just grabs me and he hugs me. And he tells me, he's like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that you were suffering with this. He's like, what can we do to help you? And so it's messed up. My mom, the more that comes out, thank God it's over. Yeah, my mom's commenting right now.
She's hearing all the real truth now.
Yeah.
Isn't she?
But my dad knows the truth, Mom. So, but anyway, so I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm like, I got him. I'm not going to get in trouble. I got him. And it's crappy, but that's exactly what my thought process was. I was like, what I was trying to do worked. And so my dad's like, well, so my dad calls his boss and tells him what's going on and tells him that I'm going to fail the drug test. And so he's like, all right, well, tell Chase to come in and talk with me. So I go in and talk with him, pull the same crap. Me and my girlfriend broke up and I just got lost and I don't do it no more. And I haven't been doing it. That was the last day that I did it. And it was all a lie, and so my dad, so I ended up being able to keep my job. They let me keep my job, and I ended up leaving and going to a different company anyways. But where was I going with that? Oh, so I knew I had my dad. You know, like I was like, okay, cool, there it is. But I leave that company. I start. You know, I'm still partying. I'm still going crazy. Still working on drilling rigs now. And I get with another girl, and she gets pregnant. And so it's like,
Damn.
oh yeah, no, dude, you're gonna hear she gets pregnant quite a bit. Yeah, so she gets pregnant. Um, Things go south during the pregnancy on that one. I read some text messages between her and another guy, and I'm like, man, no, this isn't gonna work. We wasn't even sure if it was my baby. So, I booted her, but then in my head, being an addict, I'm like, okay, well now that's more reasons to drink. You know, that's more reasons to. I was working on drilling rig. I was like, I'm not going to work. I twisted off of that job, and I can't tell you how many jobs I twisted off during all this, man. I pissed away a lot of good jobs. But you know, so let's fast forward a little bit. There was two more babies that happened during that time. So, but I don't get to see them, you know, due to the way I was living and due to the way that things were going on. You know, it was just best we decided, you know, they have father figures, they have dads, they have people that take care of them. So I stayed out of that. You know, I stayed away from it. And now it's one of the things I talk with my fiance about it a lot. It's one of the things, like, it sucks, you know, it sucks that I have kids out there that I don't get to see, you know, that, and I tried to look at pictures here and there, and I don't ever want to disrespect the moms, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I did it to myself and I did it to them, and they had to do what was best for their kids. So it's something that I live with, and now being a recovering addict, making amends, you know, those are the ones that I still haven't made an amends with because I don't know how to, you know. Like it's scary to reach out to them because I don't know what they're gonna say, and I don't know how I'm gonna take it. Which I think I can handle it better now than I would, you know, back then. But I get married, 2014. I get married in 2014. Me and my ex-wife, we were very toxic, very toxic. I met her at a bar. It was one of them, you know, we partied well together. You know, we were really good at partying. We were really good at drinking. We were really good at doing all that toxic crap. And it was just crazy, man. I ended up, I was on probation from those first two felonies for 5 years. I'm about to get off probation in August, but this is in April. I lie to my ex-wife. I tell her I'm going to work. I go up to one of these bars over here in Midland, and I get arrested. The cops follow me out to the truck, and they search me, and I got coke on me, and I get arrested.
Damn.
And so that's a violation of probation right there. That's a blue warrant. You know, that's like, you're not getting no bond on that. Once again, call my mom. Call my sister's the one who bailed me out that time. But me and my sister were doing drugs then at the same time. So she felt bad because I called her, and I was like, hey, do you have any? And she's like, I'm going to bed. So she felt guilty because if I would have just went to her house, I wouldn't have went to jail, whatever. You know, everything happens for a reason. But so she bonded me out quick. Once again, didn't even hit population. Got bonded out. So I'm not seeing any real consequences to my actions.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I'm not seeing any consequences to my actions. I'm just, dang, this happened, but oh well. Dang, I had kids. Oh well. You know, dang, like everything's getting brushed under the rug. And so, not this time though. This time they tell me, they're like, yeah, you're gonna do some time. You know, that ended up getting a 2-year sentence. I did 11 months on the 2 years. Almost cost me my marriage, but she stuck through, which she's crazy for doing so. You know, I put her through hell, but she stuck with me. I get out, and everything's good. I'm good. I getting out. What's up, kid? Sorry, I saw one of my brothers comment. But I get out, and I'm doing good. I'm working, taking care of my family. I'm trying to get on my feet, trying to get back into the oil field. We moved to Austin, and then I finally get back a job in the oil field. Well, it's December 2016. Yeah, no, December 2015, going into 16. I'm buying a whole bunch of Adderall at the time because I'm working in the oil field, and I'm working a lot. And I'm like working 24, 30, you know, just 48. Just keep on, like I'm staying up for days at a time. So I'm buying Adderall. Well, the guy I'm getting it from, he doesn't have no more Adderall. And he's like, here, just try this. And hands me a meth pipe. And I'm like, man, I saw what it was doing to my brother. So I was like, hell no, I ain't touching that. Well, a couple more times to me going over there and him not having it, I'm finally like, all right, I'm touching that. And so I smoked it. And that was it, man. That was crazy. Like, it grabbed a hold of me. You know, it was, I remember it was December, like I said, 2015 going into 2016. Or maybe 16 going into 17. I can't remember. Yeah, 16 going into 17. And so from that time, December 2016 going into 2017, it was like the rise from having a great job, starting my own business, doing good with my wife, buying several vehicles, getting a big old huge nice rent house, 5 acres. Like from 2017 to 2018, yeah, so 1 year I did all like went up, had everything that you could ever want to getting a divorce. You know what I mean? And I was not a good husband. I don't blame her. Actually, when she walked away, I was proud of her for walking away.
Was your old lady was she doing meth with you?
Hell no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. When she found it, she didn't know how to act. You know what I mean? She didn't know how to act. She was, you're a meth head. She wanted to push me as far away from her and my son as possible, but in the same sense, she loved me. So she was like, she didn't know what to do.
Right.
You know, and of course, I'm a manipulator. I'm a liar. I'm a narcissist. I'm doing it and saying everything that I can for her not to leave.
Yeah.
You know, and so downplaying it as much as I can. You know, doing everything that I can. So I string her along for a while. You know, and it got to a point where things got very abusive. You know, like verbally abusive, and I was bad. I'm telling you, like I was not a good person.
When you're on meth, it's like, I know because I shot meth for a long time, and you go crazy and you start, especially dudes. Like, I've seen dudes like I had a friend that tied his girlfriend to a tree and like left her there for like 3 days to die because he thought she was cheating on him. So it makes your mind go crazy.
It just destroyed everything, you know. And it's just one of those things. Like, and I'm glad she says she's forgiven me, and I really hope she has for her sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I want her to be happy, and I want her those wounds to heal for her. But, you know, my son saw a lot of stuff. My son saw me going through the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows. You know, when I was high, everything was good, and we're having fun. And, you know, but when I was coming down, I was a psychopath, 100% psychopath. You know, and I cheated on her, and she found out about it. And she was done. She wanted me gone. You know, at this time, I stopped paying rent, so her parents were, you know, having to pick up the bill on that. But I was hardly ever home, you know, and so she found out that I cheated on her. She went through my Snapchat and whatever. She found out that I cheated on her, and she was done. She was, you know, no more. Which, again, now I'm very proud of her for putting her foot down. But that drove me further into addiction. You know, that drove me further into not caring. I was couch surfing at this time. You know, this is in 2018. Oh, my grandma passed away in 2017, December of 2017. And that is one thing that ate me up quite a bit. Is me and my mom were really close. And we stopped being so close when I was on drugs. You know, I remember one night I got drunk and I was high, and me and my mom had it out, and me and my dad had it out, and me and my brother had it out. My grandma lived next door, and I went over there and was cussing over there, and it was just a horrible time. So I know that she forgave me, but it was hard because I never talked to her. I never asked for that forgiveness. I never got that. You know, when she died, it was sudden. Like, it was just, she just died in the shower. You know, like we knew she was not feeling well, but she just died. You know, so that's one of the things that messed me up really, 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 really bad. It was because I love my mama, and I just felt like she never got to see me sober. You know, and so real quick, you know, I'll get to it. But anyways, so that happened in 2017, December 2017. I'm going crazy. I lose my wife in 2018. Not really seeing my son. Become a dealer. You know, I start selling drugs, and I'm driving back and forth from, I don't want to give too much information because it's not that far. I don't want no indictments to come. But, start doing stupid shit. Start stealing cars. Start doing all kinds of stuff. Start stealing all kinds of guns. Just dumb stuff. Thinking I'm a thug. Thinking I'm cool. Man, I can't tell you how many times God had his hands on me. There was one time I got pulled over. My buddy gave me a Corvette. Who does that, right? He gave me $10,000 and a Corvette. And me and my other buddy, we went around hitting licks and came across some pistols. And I'm going like 110 on the loop. I got, God, I can't tell you how many, half a pound of dope in the trunk, 2 pistols underneath my seat. And I'm driving 110 on the loop, and I'm not even in the lane. I'm on the shoulder passing all these cars. Shoot, 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 shoot. And I go to exit this drive, Thomason here in Midland. I missed my exit, but I go to exit Thomason, and I look at my rearview mirror, and there's a state trooper.
Oh, God.
Oh, sick. And I'm sitting there, I'm running. I'm running. So he doesn't turn his lights on. He follows me around the loop. I get back onto the loop, and he flips his lights. I'm like, Chase, make a decision. Am I running? Am I pulling over? Am I running? Am I pulling over? I pull over. He comes up to me and he's like, hey, what's going on? Why are you driving like that? He's like, you're lucky I didn't clock you. He's like, but I know you were going stupid fast. Why were you driving like that? My dad's an electrician. He had a panel blow up in his face. I'm trying to get to the hospital. He called his whole face is on fire. Like, my mom called me freaking out. I'm trying to get to the hospital. He's like, okay, let me run your driver's license real quick, and I'll escort you to the hospital. I was like, all right, cool. Runs my driver's license. Comes back. He's like, Mr. Savage, I need you to step out of the vehicle.
Oh, God.
My stomach dropped again. I got the 2 pistols underneath my seat. I'm like, may I ask why? He's like, you have a felony warrant for your arrest for failure to appear. That's a no bond warrant. I'm like, no way, this isn't happening. I was like, can I call my mom real quick? And he's like, it ain't going to do you no good, but sure. So I'll call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I need you to get David on the phone because I already knew what happened. My lawyer submitted the paperwork to keep me from going to court, but the bonds company didn't get that. So the bonds company issued the failure to appear.
Yeah.
So I was like, call my mom. I'm like, Mom, look, I just got pulled over. I need you to get David on the phone. I need you to get this fixed. I'm about to go to jail. My mom's like, all right, cool. She just calls my lawyer. So my lawyer, he gets it all fixed. The cop tells me, he said, Mr. Savage, I'm going to tell you this much. I'm going to call a tow truck company. You call somebody to come get your vehicle. Whoever gets here first gets the vehicle. He said, if we get this resolved before they get here, I'll let you go. But if they get here before we get this resolved, I got to take you in. So I'm sitting in this front seat, and I'm in handcuffs, and he's answering my phone as my mom's calling and as my lawyer's calling, and he's sitting there. My buddy pulls up across the street, and I'm seeing he's walking across the loop. I'm like, oh, let me back up 10 seconds. He pulls up my criminal record, and he's like, Mr. Savage, see here you have a problem with drugs. You know, you've been arrested a couple times for drugs. He said, if I search that vehicle, would there be anything in it? I was like, no, sir, there wouldn't be anything in it. He's like, so I can search the vehicle? And I'm like, I look, like, try to change the subject. I'm like, oh, man, there's my friend. And he goes, well, he's not here yet. He's like, he calls dispatch, and he's like, hey, so what's going on? And they tell him, they're like, oh, we're about to call you. The warrant's taken away. And he was like, oh, he looked at me and said, Mr. Savage, this is your lucky day. If you would have got any other cop, you would have went to jail. And I was like, oh, I already know. And he's like, you have a good day. And he took me out of handcuffs, let me go.
You fucking lucky motherfucker.
I was labeled snitch
you
for
were
a little
lucky.
bit because they're like, there's no way that this dude got out of that without doing
crazy.
something. You know, they're like, the feds are watching you or something. And I'm like, bro, I'm telling you the truth. I'll show you the emails, show you the phone calls, show you everything that happened for me to get out of that. And it was God. You know what I mean? Because if you would have searched that vehicle, I'd been gone for life.
Yeah.
There's no way I would not have gotten
a long time.
2 pistols and all that dope. I was gone. Our feds were getting me. And hopefully that cop ain't watching this. But anyways, that's just one of the times he had his hands on me, you know, and you know, I get arrested again in a stolen vehicle. My friends, some girls that I was hanging out with at the time, they bonded me out. My mom was going to help bond me out. I got arrested before that. So I got 2 drug charges and a of unauthorized use in a motor vehicle, all in 1 year. So that was 3 more felonies on top of the. So I'm like, I'm going to prison. Like that's my mindset. I'm going to prison. I'm going on the run. Whatever. That's my mindset. They're just gonna have to find me. When they find me, that's when I'll do the time. So I'm going crazy. I started shooting up. That's when I started shooting up. Started getting even more wild. I got into a very bad relationship, very toxic relationship. It was nothing. It was all I had to do with was drugs. And this has been going on, for shooting up for a little over a year, I think. My mom, she finally started pulling the tough love. So my mom and my dad divorced. They've been together for 25 years, and that hit me hard. It hit me real hard. And my mom started dating this new guy, Miguel, and I wanted to not like him so bad. I wanted everything about him to not be anything I liked. Just because he wasn't my dad, but he's an awesome dude. I consider him my dad. My dad's my dad, but he's just the same. So let's get to the hospital. I'm been going crazy, doing all this thieving, doing all this bad stuff. I did a pretty bad robbery on these people. They had a hit out on me, like a $45,000 hit. They wanted me dead, and yeah, it was crazy. So I'm like watching out for my bag. People think I got poisoned. I guess when I was in the hospital, I told my mom that I had gotten poisoned or hot shotted is what I told her. I don't think that's what happened. I think this is honest to God what happened. I'm building the porch for my ex-girlfriend. I ain't prayed. I ain't talked to God. I ain't done any of that. And I can't say how long. Way before my grandma died. Way before I got on drugs. I start praying to God. I'm like, man, I'm tired of this life. I'm tired of this lifestyle. I'm tired of everything that I'm doing. I'm tired of the person I am. I'm tired of not being a good dad. I'm tired of not being a good son. I'm sick of it. Take me out of this life. I'm ready to go to prison. I'm ready to die. I don't care what it is. Take me out of this life. And I'm telling you, I instantly got weak and instantly got sick. I'm picking up 4x4s or 2x4s. I can't remember. I can't pick them up no more. I'm like, God, I'm struggling to pick them up. I'm throwing them on there before I made this prayer, but I can't even pick them up no more. And so I'm like sick, thinking I have COVID, because this is right when COVID came out. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, there's no way. So I'm suffering for like 3 weeks after I made that prayer. I'd call my mom, hey, come get me. Okay, where you at? And then I wouldn't answer her because I'd be sleeping. And I would do a big old huge bump, and I would go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it wouldn't affect me. So I had my ex take me to the hospital. I go into the hospital, and I'm like, it's just a very sketchy feeling. I walk into this hospital, and they got this big old huge air purifier. Like, it just looks weird. And I tell her, I was like, if I go in here, I'm not coming out of there alive. So I call my mom. I'm like, I need you to come get me. She's like, okay, we'll be there tomorrow. She's like, Chase, I'm coming. If I come to get you, you got to come with me. Because she would come get me, and then I wouldn't leave with her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, me and my ex got in a big old fight. Got physical and with her and brother and friends, and it was just bad. So I was leaving regardless. And they showed up the next day. My ex's daughter came and woke me up, and I remember waking up and I was drenched in sweat, like just thinking I had a fever or something. And so my mom picked me and my dog up. We go home, and I'm telling my mom, I'm like, I think I'm detoxing because I hadn't gotten high. I'm like, I think I'm detoxing. I don't know. And she was like, well, let's try these remedies. So she's trying to get me to smoke a little bit of weed. She's giving me these Xanax so calm my nerves. She's doing these hotty-toddy things that are burning my throat, and I think she's poisoning me. So, like, I think she's trying to kill me now. Like I'm paranoid. I'm delusional. I'm losing my mind. Been up and down with this, and so I'm freaking out. And I don't remember. They told me, my stepdad and my mom told me, I'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming in pain. And they would come in there, and my fingertips were blue, lips were blue. They picked me up on like a Sunday, I think, and I went to the hospital on a Tuesday. So I'd only stayed there 2 nights, before I went to the hospital. But I remember they were going to town. I was laying in the bathtub, and they're like, Chase, we're going to go to town. I was like, well, don't leave me here. I felt like if they left me there alone, they were going to come back to a dead body. And so I was like, don't leave me here. And I'm laying in the bathtub. And I remember, it's funny, is I remember looking through the skylight in the bathroom. And I'm talking to God. I'm like, God, take me. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm in so much pain. Just take me. I can't breathe. I can't move. Like, anytime I start moving, I can't. Like, I can't breathe. I'm dying. Like, I know I'm dying. And so my mom. That's when my mom told me, like, hey, we're going to town. We're going to go to Academy. Do you want to come with? I'm like, yeah. Don't leave me here alone. So I go with them into town. I'm like, this is my time. I ain't been able to get high, so I'm calling everybody I know. I'm like, hey, I need you to meet me. And, give me a little 20 or something, just something I can get, wake me up. Like, I need something to pick me up. And every time they would call me, because I got out of the truck and I'm walking around the parking lot of Academy, one, I needed air. But I went and sat by this tree waiting on them to show up so my stepdad wouldn't see me getting the drugs.
Right.
And I passed out right on the tree. And I would wake up, I'm like, what the hell? What am I doing here? And I'm freaking out, like punching myself in the chest, like, because I felt it in my heart, like something's wrong. So I'm like trying to wake my heart up,
Yeah.
trying to get it pumping again. So I'd go to another, like move to the side of the building. And finally I was like, I give up. I'll give up. I need something to drink. So I go get a Powerade with my stepdad. We go all the way back to the house. The way I remembered it was we got back to the house and I told them I needed them to take me to the emergency room. I guess what happened is when we got to the house, I went and laid down. It'd been a couple hours. My mom was starting dinner. Then I went in there and I was freaking out at them. And I was like, I need y'all to take me to started cussing at them. Take me to the emergency room now. And so my mom was like, all right, whatever, let's go. So she called. She was trying to get me to go in the ambulance. And I was like, I'm not going in no ambulance. I want you to take me. I was like, I'm not going in there. If you don't take me, I'm not going. And so we get in the truck and she calls the hospital. She's like, I'm bringing my son in there. I think he's overdosing. I don't know what's going on. There's something serious going on with him. His skin's blue. He looks like he's dying. And so I called my ex-girlfriend. I'm trying to get her on the phone. And me and her getting a big old huge fight. And so I threw my phone out the window. On my way to the hospital, I just got rid of my phone. And my mom just kept on trucking. She kept on driving. She's like, whatever. She just kept on driving. And at this point, she was tired of me, like, the ups and the downs, cussing them out, take me to the hospital. No, leave me alone. I need this, I need that. And they didn't know how serious it was either. Neither did I. I seriously thought it was because I hadn't been high.
Yeah.
And I knew something was wrong. I thought it was COVID, pneumonia, something. But I'm trying to get my mom to take me by this apartment before she takes me to the hospital. She's like, no, I'm taking you to the hospital. So she takes me to the hospital. I go in and they're like, are you the one that was overdosing? I was like, no, I think I have pneumonia. And so they're like, they did the COVID test. They took my shirt off. That's all. That's really all I remember. The next thing I really remember is waking up in the hospital, freaking out. And this was a month later or 3 weeks later. And I wake up freaking out, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I got this feeding tube in my mouth. I got oxygen. I got through my nose, and I got all this stuff, and I can't move. My arms, they're not moving, and my legs are not moving. I remember like looking up and seeing my mom and not even really recognizing my mom because she had a mask on, because the hospital, they had required the masks. And I'm freaking out because I had all these horrible, crazy dreams while I was asleep. And I'm thinking, like, in my head, I remember going to the hospital, but thinking I went to the hospital because I got in a wreck. Like, that's how I had a dream while I was in a coma that I had gotten in a wreck, and that's why I was at the hospital. So I'm like trying to put everything together. I don't know if you've ever been sedated or under or anesthesia.
Yeah.
Stuff's crazy. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so I start it took me a couple of days, but I ripped out my feeding tube and it pissed the nurses off. The nurses were like, what the hell? Like, now you can't even swallow. Like, why? What are you doing? I got my hand up there. I got a hold of it. I kept yelling at them. I'm like, I need answers. If y'all don't tell me what's going on, I'm going to start ripping stuff out.
Yeah.
So I ripped that out and all this black stuff. I mean, it was horrible. But that's when the nurses came in with a big mirror. They put it above me and they opened up my gown and I had scar from here to here from where they had opened up my chest. And I had scars down here from where the tubes were coming, drainage tubes were coming out. I had scars down in my my femur, where they did the impella and they did the ECMO and they did all these heart pumps.
Damn.
Stitches, staples, scars everywhere. And I'm like, what the heck? So they're explaining to me what's going on. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I've never done drugs. You know, I'm straight up arguing with them. I'm like, I've never
You're
done
lying?
drugs. No, I didn't remember. I did not remember. You know, like God seriously wiped my whole memory away. I didn't remember. I'm sitting there telling them, like, I've never done drugs. And they're like, sir, that's why you're here. I'm like, no, I've never done drugs. And they're like, yes, you have. Yes, you have. You're here because you got an infection from shooting up drugs. And I'm like, I look at my mom, and my mom's like, yes, Chase, that's what's going on. That's why you're here. And it took me a little bit to finally be like, okay, yeah, that's why I'm here. You know, I kept thinking I got in a wreck, and I had all these dreams in my head, like when I was in that coma. You know, I swore I was being tortured. You know, I swore I saw heaven. I swore I saw hell. Maybe not actual heaven, but the waiting area of heaven or something. You know, I felt like I saw Jesus. I felt all that peace and all that wonderful and all that glory and all that. And then I also felt hell. You know, I also felt heat. Like I put it together. You know, like there was times where I'd have fever. And so I'm like in my head, I'm like, is that when I was feeling that heat? You know, is that when I was feeling that unbearable heat? Was when I had the fever? You know, it's just crazy experience. I wake up. They tell me like, Chase, you know, you're gonna have to go to rehabilitation to learn how to figure out how to walk and do all this stuff again, like to brush your teeth. Wow. Yeah, like you're gonna, because I had no muscle. Like I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't put my hands up to my face. I couldn't walk. I would try to get out of bed, and I had no muscle, no nothing. Apathy is what they call it. But you know, I couldn't move. I'd been on my back, you know, and they told me I'm going to be in Baylor for like 2 weeks. So they had to airlift me to another hospital. And so they told me that I was going to be there. When I woke up, that I was going to be there for a minimum of 2 weeks. Well, after, I believe it was 2 days, they're like, well, we're going to send you back to Midland because somebody else needs this bed. Your heart's doing better than what we thought. So I had endocarditis. That's what the infection. So I thought I had pneumonia. Or corona. They run the test. Corona comes back good. Didn't have it. I did have pneumonia. And they call my mom. They tell my mom, like, hey, his heart's pumping at 5%. You know, he's not going to make it. We have to do open heart surgery, emergency open heart surgery. He's going to die, and he's probably going to die even if we do it. And so my mom was freaking out. They won't let nobody in the hospital with us, right? Or with me. And so, but my mom pulled some strings, and she got into the hospital. And I remember telling the doctor, I remember telling my mom that I'm at peace with dying. That, you know, I knew, I felt it in my heart that I was going to die. I felt it in I was like, I'm going to die. And my mom was like, you know, she's pleading with God, please don't take my son. They raised all kinds of money. They raised, like, people praying. There was just a lot of people came from the woodworks and were rallying behind me and praying and helping my family. And I remember when I was going into surgery, I remember the last thing I remember telling the doctors were, actually, I don't remember telling the doctors this. The doctors told me I told them this. So now it's in my head. You know what I mean? Because I don't remember. When I went to the emergency room, I don't remember nothing except for waking up. You know, I remember my dreams. But the doctors told me, they're like, yo, you don't remember what you told us? I'm like, no. And they're like, you told us you wanted Fruity Pebbles and to see your mom. You weren't going into surgery. And I was like, they're like, we gave you Fruit Loops and you got to see your mom. I was like, I guess I was content with that. You know, like.
So how do you get endocarditis? Is it from like just dirt? What happened? Was blood it like
infection? So you can get it from like staph? Pulled. No, you can get it from getting your teeth pulled. It's just like it's something. It goes through your blood. So that's what my mom was trying to convince my aunts. Like, well, he did have his wisdom teeth pulled. Maybe it was from that. And they're like, no, it's from drugs.
It's from banging up. For sure.
Yeah, it's that's what it's from. It's from shooting up. You know, and that's another thing God looked out for me. I never got hepatitis. I never got AIDS. You know, and I was using dirty needles. You know, this girl said my boyfriend got it from the hospital. It's a blood infection. I know how I got it, and I've heard of how other people got it, but I definitely got it from shooting up. It's a bacteria that sits in your heart, and that's exactly what happened. So I formed 2 cysts. one on my heart and one in my heart. So when
Damn.
they opened me up to remove these cysts, one of them ruptured, and it caused an infection through my whole body. It shut down my kidneys, my liver. I was already on the ventilator. No, I wasn't already on the ventilator. They had to put me on that because of it shutting down everything. My mom said I went in with oxygen, came out with all kinds of machines in the ventilator. Like they had to do an impella, which is like it's a pump that pumps your blood. So that was down here in my
groin.
My main artery down here.
Yes, my husband had to have that.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was bad. Like it was a big old huge hematoma down there. Like it was crazy. Like I kept telling everybody it was my fupa. It was weird. It was weird. I'll get to the funny parts here in a minute. But yeah, so I remember having dreams. I remember having these comas. My mama, I talked about her earlier. She visited me when I was in my coma. And she came to me and she told me my stepdaddy said damn near every machine in the hospital. Yeah, pretty much. It was $1 million bill. Yeah, so my grandma, she came to me while I was in the coma. She came to me twice. One time she came to me and she told me, she's telling me to wake up. And I was telling her, no, I don't want to wake up. I was like, I want to go with you. And she's like, you can't come with me. She's like, you're going to wake up and you're going to go back. And I was like, no, Mama, I want to go with you. And I remember screaming at her. Like I was in so much pain. I was like, take me with you. I just want to go with you. Let me go with you. And she said no. She went on. Another dream that I had, another angel that visited me was this little boy. I'd never met him. First time he came to me, he had long hair. He was wearing a football jersey. And he came I got out of my bed, and this is all my dreams. I got out of my bed because I heard this torturing, screaming, agonizing stuff going down at the end of this hallway. I'm like, man, I want to see what that is. Curiosity killed the cat, right? I'm like, let me get out of my bed. Let me go see what that is. And so I'm hearing this creepy music and all this screaming. And as I'm getting closer to the end of the hallway, I'm feeling this heat. Like just, and it's unbearable heat. But I'm just like, let me keep going. And so this little kid grabbed me by my hand. He's like, you can't go there. You can't go there. You got to come back with me. He said, if you go back there, you're going to die. You're not going to make it. So I'm like, all right. So I follow this little kid. He was peaceful, gentle, kind, glowing, and I'm like, cool, I'm following this kid. He leads me right back to bed by my hand, and I get back in bed, and it's crazy. It's all in my head. It's all dreams. But in my dream, I went back to sleep.
Yeah.
So I get back out of bed. I don't know if it's the next day. I don't know how long it was, but I get back out of bed. I'm trying to go because I hear all this stuff again. I'm like, man, I want to see what the heck is going on down here. And so I'm just walking down the end of this hallway. And this time he came to me. He was bald. He was still peaceful. I couldn't see his face this time though. And but I reckoned like he was bald. He didn't have his long hair, and he was like glowing, and he didn't have a football jersey. He was just like a glowing figure. But I could tell. I knew it was still that same kid. I didn't even get halfway down the hallway this time, man. He grabbed me. He's like, "You can't go there. You can't go there." He takes me back to bed, and I go back to bed. And then I later on figured out who that kid was because he told me his name. He told me his name was Taden, and I have a nephew named Jaden. So I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, is it Jaden? Was it Jaden that was visiting my dreams? Like, what the heck? And so I'm telling my sister about this kid coming to me in my dreams, and I felt like the kid saved my life, because the kid kept me from going down to the end of the hallway. And I told her her name. I was like, he told me his name was Jaden or Taden or something. And she dropped to her knees. She's crying. She's like, Chase, that's Gina's son, Taden. I described the kid football jersey. He played football. She's like, he died of cancer. And I'm like, what the heck? He didn't die of cancer while I was in my coma. This happened a year before all this. But I wear his bracelet still to this day.
That's crazy. You had a out of body experience, basically.
Yeah, so I could see myself in the bed. You know what I mean? Like I would come out and like I would see like that's me dead. And like I don't know if you've seen the pictures there. I was dead. Like I had 5 strokes during all that. Like dead. I was as close to dead. I came back, couldn't talk. I was slurring. Half my face didn't move. You see people that had strokes. Like they a lot of times they don't come back from it. You know, they have slurs, they drag the arm, whatever. You know, and God, for whatever reason, you know, and sometimes it's overwhelming. I see these people comment on my stuff, and they're like, "My sister had that, and she died." And I'm like, you know, and I ask God, why'd you save me? You know, why am I still here? And I'm like, whatever I got to do to fulfill that purpose, I'll do it. You know, and like that screamed Jesus from the mountaintops. I didn't do any of this. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't save myself. My mom, as much as she tried to save me, she didn't save me. Who saved me was Jesus. You know, who saved me was God. And so I keep this thing on me. You know, I got to work on my cussing, but Jesus saved me, man. And that's what I tell people. You know, I tell them I don't know why he saved me, but I know he will do it for you. You know, and I know he'll do it for anybody because he's a respecter of people. What he'll do for me, he'll do for you. He'll do for whoever. You just got to turn your life over to him. You just got to ask him for it. You know, you better be ready. You know, sometimes it's scary. And that's what I tell people. I asked for prison, and I asked for death. You know what I mean? I got the death. You know, like God's like, okay, we'll make you new. Is that what you want? You want out of this life? You want no memory of it? Cool. We wipe you clean of it. And it was a humbling experience. You know, I consider myself a ladies' man, not so much anymore that I'm tied down, but it was a humbling experience. I'm trying to flirt with these nurses. You know, they're telling me, they're like, sir, we're not
into you.
Yeah, sir, we're changing your diaper. Like I'm sitting there like, oh, yeah, it's true. They're like, one nurse, I straight up asked her right in front of my mom, asked for her number. She was like, first of all, we can't do that with patients. Second of all, no nurse is going to be with somebody that they changed their butt. And I was like, that's pretty humbling. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sit me down a little bit. Knock me down a couple pegs. You know, and it's just a very humbling experience. I couldn't walk. I had to depend on my mom for quite a bit. And finally, me and my mom, I told my mom, I was like, you're enabling me again. You got to go. You got to go. Because anytime I need this, she'd bring it right to me. She was cutting my food up while I was in the hospital, feeding it to me. They're like, Mom, how am I going to get, like, how? Like, stop. You got to go, Mom.
That's how I'm going to be when my son gets older. My little boy's only 7, but I can understand. Like, I mean, you almost died, dude. She was probably scared to death. You know how much fucking pain you put your mom and dad through? Do you realize that?
Yeah.
I think about that all the time whenever
that's my mom. You know, my mom. And during my addiction, I put everybody through shit. You know, and I was such a good liar, which is sad to say, but I was such a good liar, such a good manipulator, and I knew what to say and how to say it, you know, and I knew it got to a point though where they heard it too many times. You know, they heard it too many times, so they stopped giving me money, they stopped doing stuff like that, but you know, it took them all the way up until me pretty much going to the hospital to get to that point. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. I see somebody, she says she wants to see my baby. So let's get to where I'm at now. Now I'm 18 months sober, engaged, got a brand new baby. Got her pregnant. God, I don't know if you're keeping tally. I don't know, about 5 or 6 of them.
I thought 5, right? Or 6.
So I have my daughter, she's 13, and I have my son that's 7. And I have this daughter, she's about to be 3 months old. Oh, he wants me to talk about the hoverboard. So when I was in the hospital, I was being a clown, man. When I was in the hospital, I got all these doctors, man. They were loving me, you know. And I was progressing quicker than they thought. They seriously thought I was going to need physical rehab, and I just got to a point after a couple of days. I was like, man, somebody just hit me with sunglasses.
Yeah.
Cool. I got to a point where I was like, I'm not going to be like this. I'm not going to slur my voice, my speech. So my mom gave me word searches, and she gave me all this stuff to help with my memory. I started listening to music, and that drove me nuts because music's my thing, and I couldn't remember the words to all these songs. There's videos of me and my stepdad singing, and I couldn't remember the words of the song. So I'm like, you out-sang me, you know. Like that's I love music and I love dancing, and so that was driving me nuts, thinking I couldn't walk. You know, I had to use a walker for a couple days.
Damn.
For like a week, you know, and I had no strength, and I would get up and I would walk. The first time I walked around my bed with the walker to the chair, and I was exhausted, like beat dead. I could not handle it. But I just got to a point. I was like, Jesus, you saw me through this. I know you're going to see me through the rest of it. So let's do this. Let's get my mind right. Let's do this. And I started getting my strength back. It took me a long time after leaving the hospital to get to where I had strength. Like now I work back in the oil field. I got all my strength back. I can move the things I moved before. But it took me, I say a long time again. 18 months isn't that long.
I know, right?
But that's the thing is I started trusting the process, started working programs, I don't work out. Let me see. I don't work out. I'm fat now, but I do a lot of lifting in the oil field. Here's that baby.
Oh my God! Look at that little chunky baby. Let me give me those.
Just like her mama's.
Hi.
So yeah, and I never thought that I would have another kid. Look at them blue eyes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Those cheeks are so
came into
cute.
my life. She came into my life fairly soon after I got out of the hospital. We dated for a week. I broke up with her. I was like, nah, heck no. This girl's too good. I don't deserve good.
Has she ever used drugs before?
No.
Good.
Smoked weed back in the day, but she never had a problem with anything.
Oh, good.
And, which is very good, But that's what I was like, she's too good. She's too good for me. She's I don't deserve good. Who I was. You had to make amends. You had to forgive yourself. It took me a long time to do that, to see that I am worthy of having good things. I am worthy of having a good relationship. I am worthy of a good job. I am worthy of a good life.
Yes. Absolutely.
I did so much dirt, but it's, I had to get to a point where it's like, okay, that's the old me. If I want people to view me as a new person, I have to view me as a new person. And I am 100% a new person, man. I've made amends. I see my kids. The other 3, so that's 6. The other 3 I still don't see. I haven't crossed those. I talked to one of the moms. She said, let her pray about it, let her think about it. We'll go from there. So I'm not going to rush that. I feel like God will open those doors whenever the time is right. And I know when those kids get old enough, they're going to want to know who their dad is.
Yeah.
And I might get punched in the mouth by the 2 boys. Who knows? They might come up to me and be like, where were you? I just pray that they're in a good situation. The dads seem like they're really good dads. They do. And so I thank God for that.
How did you tell me this. How did you get, I know you were sober because you woke up out of a coma or out of the, coma basically. How did you stay sober though? Did you go to AA? Did you go to rehab?
Yeah. So I do go to NAs. I like going to NAs better than AAs. Nothing against AA. It's just druggies are my people. That's what I did. I didn't really have a problem with alcohol as it was to, if I started drinking, I wanted to do coke or meth. So,
right.
So I started going to AAs. I started that Savage Strong group. So when I was in the hospital, my mom and my sister got these Savage Strong bracelets made, these little red ones. And they got T-shirts made, Savage Strong, to raise money. And my stepdad, he made the sign Savage Strong. So Savage Strong is kind of just stuck. Savage is my last name. So Savage
Real
Strong
last name?
Real last name.
Okay, cool.
And so cool. Savage Strong has just been the thing. That's what the Facebook group was or is. And it's got almost 5,000 people in the group, and people share their stories daily. So that right there helps out a lot. We do lives. I share people's stories and honest, whatever. I just do all that recovery stuff online, which that helps me out a lot, especially with working back in the oil field, doing 80 to 100 hours a week, can't hit meetings. Yes, and she's pointing at it right here. This right here, Jesus, that's how I stay sober, man. And I don't ever want to go back to that. I begged and pleaded and the withdrawals and the coming down and I don't ever want to go back to that. And I was blessed with the coma. You know what I mean? I seriously was. I was blessed with that coma because I couldn't do rehab. I couldn't stay away from it long enough. I got so depressed, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate with this. I got so depressed and my mood swings were and I got so suicidal that I would rather kill myself. In my head, of course, I never really would want to kill myself, but that's my mindset. Is I wanted to get, and I never let anybody see that fiending side of me, but that's how it was. I was fiending bad.
Yeah.
Like, and I hated the withdrawals. I would call my brother and be like, how do you do this? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, how do you go without it? I don't get it, because I stayed with cash pretty much. I had a good job for a while, so I stayed with cash. And I was selling it, so I for the most part always had it. It wasn't until I started pissing everything away, you know how it is, that down stuff, where I had to start looking for it, had to start nickel and diming, and I'm like, what the hell? I hadn't had to experience the withdrawals and the coming down and the depression, and because I was able to stay high for 3 years, and so I'd call my brother. I'm like, how do you handle this coming down? Like, I am so emotional and so. Like, I just want to blow my fucking head off. My brother's like, no, you're better than that. You're better than that. Just kick it. Get off of it. Stay off of it. I'm like, well, how are you going to tell me that when you can't stay off of it? When now my brother's sober. My brother's been sober. He's doing really good. He's just messaged right here. So proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you, Rusty.
Do you struggle with, like, okay, so I know all about methamphetamine. So I still, after being sober off meth for 6 years, I still struggle with, like, lack of energy, no motivation. Like, I want this feeling, I want this energy that is unobtainable. And I'll never forget the energy that I had when I was on meth.
So I think the downside, and that's what I keep in my head, the downside of the meth definitely overpowers the upside of it, because I had fun. I'd be a liar if I tell you I didn't have fun. I had fun driving town to town, picking up all this stuff. I had fun with all these ratchet women. I had fun being the pistol toting gangster. It was fun. But those times when I was down outpower any of the energy, any of the fun times, any of the, like, I'm telling you, I would get so depressed. Like, I've never felt that depressed in my life, when I would come down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's another thing, man, is I keep going back to it, but Jesus, man, I was worried about going back to the oil field. I told Shay, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do work-wise. Obviously, I want to do the recovery field, but I have to have money. I have to be able to pay bills. So doing the recovery stuff, there's really no money in it. So you have to do that for your passion. You know what I mean? And that it is a passion, but it's hard to make money in it. And it's one of the things you kind of feel guilty if you're doing it for money. Like I don't want to help people to get paid. I just want to help people.
I work for two treatment centers, and I work for Dr. B here on TikTok, and then I work for another center called Enhanced Mental Health Group. You can get a job and make money, and you need to get your certified peer support specialist certification first. Yeah. That gets you to where you could go work at a rehab if you want to. You can do coaching with people if you want to. Yeah. And I totally understand what you're saying. You feel guilty about it. And I started out the same way. I felt guilty because I believed that you shouldn't charge people to help them, but I'm not charging people to help them through AA. That's the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. I'm employed by a place where I answer the phones, and people are already reaching out to that place looking for help. And so I answer the phone.
So that's my ultimate goal, and that's what when I went back to the oil field, I said in April of this, April 2022, that's where I want to be able to go. I want to be able to get my peer specialties. I want to be able to do that, start up a Savage Strong thing. There's a place here called Thriving United that will let me host NAs and stuff like that, and so I want to get to that.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do, but I haven't gotten too serious about it. You gotta
hit that YouTube channel hard, because in my first couple of years online, that really helped supplement my income, because I got monetized and I make a couple $100 off of that every month.
Yeah, and I've had people tell me, I started up a podcast, but I got serious about it and then I fell off. And that's I just got to get serious about it, especially if it's that. Those are my goals, right? If that's what my goal is, that's what I got to get serious about and start accomplishing those goals. It's just it's so easy to get caught up in life. You know, like I said, I blame it on work. I do work a lot, but you can find time for what's important to you. You know, and I'm telling myself that, and I'm telling whoever's watching this, if something is important to you, you'll find time to do it. You know, and I need to start getting serious about it. You know, I love doing these videos. I love talking to people on Facebook, and I love hearing people's stories and helping them out. And you know, and that's my passion. That's what I feel like. The reason why I was saved is to preach the word of God, is to preach Jesus to people, and that's my ultimate goal right there, is to get into the ministry field. Jesus is still working on me. You know, I got a potty mouth. I still got some amends to make. Still got some stuff to clean up. But in due time, it's gonna happen. You know,
I think you're doing a great job, and I think that I think that the way you are now, if you cuss, I mean, honestly, like, you're able to reach people and they can relate to you more. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. If you clean it all up and you're like real straight edge and stuff, like, you're not going to be, people might not be able to relate to you like they can't relate to you now. They know that
or
you've
be
been
as
down.
approachable.
They know that you've been through that, what they've been through. And I don't think God is like going to say, oh, well, you're cussing and I don't want you around here. Like, I think that, you know, if you're trying to help others and it's like genuine in your heart, then that's all that matters, you know?
Yeah. And so, you know, I had, he talks to me a lot in my dreams. You know, he comes to me, and so how long ago was this? I kept having this dream, you know, God coming to me, telling me, take it to the field, you know, and that's why I was like, doors kept opening up for me to go back to the oil field. And so that's what kept coming to my head, is take it to the field, take the ministry to the field, to the oil field. So that was my, you know, and I still do it. I go to the oil field and I tell people, they were like, oh man, I can't wait to get off to have some drinks. And I'm like, gotcha. You should have said that, because now I'm about to start preaching to you. You know, I'm like, oh, well, I don't drink. And they're like, you don't drink? Why don't you drink? I'm like, well, let me tell you why I don't drink. You know, because I start wanting to do coke, and they're like, well, you don't do coke, and I'm like, let me tell you why I don't do coke, because then I want to do meth. Well, yeah, that's kind of extreme. I get why you don't want to do that, but why not? I'm like, well, because I'm a recovering addict, and this is what's happened, and this is why I'm a recovering addict, and I was in the hospital and I was dead. Let me show you these pictures, you know, and let me show you what God did for me. And so, like, it's a good, and it's a good conversation starter, you know. And I love telling people, like, they get awkward real quick, you know. They're like, man, I'm ready to go slam some, you know, a bunch of Hispanics, I'm ready to go slam some cervezas. I'm like, oh, I was like, I don't drink. You don't drink? Well, I'm like, nah, let me tell you why. You know,
but I'm telling you, a lot of those Mexican guys are straight alcoholics, and they need to hear that, because I'm the same way. I talk to anybody that will listen.
Simon is on TikTok too. It's Reach Recovery. He's got these stickers made. It's In the Trenches, I think, is the Facebook page that he's got. But he's got these stickers made. I put them on my hard hat. It's, you know, it's Alcohol Anonymous NA. It's got the recovery hotline. And that's another thing that, you know, people see that sticker and they're like, I've had a couple people take pictures of it. You know, and I've given some of the stickers away, and people wear them on their hard hats, so they take them to other locations. And so that's another thing, a good way of getting people to, you know, they take a picture of it. You know, I may not have been able to, like, hey, I can help you, but they took a picture of it, so it's in their phone. They're gonna be like, oh, one day they're gonna be like, man, I'm gonna call this number, or man, you know, this dude told me this. I'm gonna try this route. That's one thing with addicts. You know it. I know it. These people watching know it. You can't force recovery on nobody. You can't force it on anybody. My mom tried forcing it on me. I couldn't even force it on my damn self. You know, like, I knew I wanted to get sober. I didn't know how to get sober. I didn't know there was people like you, people like this TikTok community, this recovery community is huge.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. You know, and I see it on my Facebook, and I see, like, it's awesome. Like, the community, the recovery community, and that's the thing, is none of us are recovering in silence no more. None of us, we're all open, we're all loud about it, we're all, like, bringing light to it. We're ending the stigma. That's the thing, people. If you're struggling, if you're watching this, if you know somebody that's watching this or that needs to watch it, whatever, there's a way out. Whether it's with Matt, whether it's with working a program, whether it's the way I did it. I don't advise going through a coma. Don't do that.
A good way.
You know, there's other ways of dying other than dying. seriously though, there's other ways that other than overdosing. I can't say how many people I've met that have overdosed 5, 6, 7, 100 times.
Yep.
I'm like, bro, what is it gonna take? You know, what's it gonna take? Like, your life is so much more worthy than what you're doing. You know, and I had people tell me that when I was going through addiction. I was like, no, it's not. Get out of my face. You know, and if you're watching this and you have any questions, I'm sure y'all know you can reach out to her. You know,
When
you're more than welcome to reach out to me.
When we're using, I feel like a lot of people, when they're using drugs, they're just so, I think that we just get to a point where we're just like, we feel like we don't deserve to be alive or sober or have good things. And I had somebody comment today and they were like, I hate when addicts say that it's like some kind of trauma from their childhood. That's just an excuse. And I'm like, no, it's really not though. Like, a lot of us are like insecure. We didn't love ourselves. We had like something underlying, and then we found alcohol or drugs. We took it. We got that relief. It made us feel good. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to make me feel like a normal person, like I see everybody else doing. And then we take it in, and then we feel great for a while, and then it stops working is what happens. And it starts reversing the other way and starts ruining our lives, you know?
Yeah. And so that's the thing is, I was 100% mind over anything, right? It doesn't matter. Like that's, you can ask my family growing up. I was 100%. It doesn't matter what happened in your childhood. It doesn't matter there's no excuse to do drugs. There's no excuse to be a piece of crap. There's no, see, yeah, you give me that look like, put your foot in your mouth, didn't you, boy?
But tell me this. We had a choice when we picked up for the first time, but then after that, the disease of addiction, takes over if we have the disease.
So I was doing the addiction stuff before I even realized I was doing the addiction stuff. I was addicted to the party life. I found my
addicted to sex, obviously, all the babies you had.
Yes, exactly. Women, you know what I mean? Like I started sleeping with grown women when I was 14 years old, 15 years old. You know what I mean? Like, and that there, if a 34, 35-year-old woman sleeps with my son,
I know, I'd be pissed.
Pressing charges on her.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm putting her in jail, which my parents didn't know about until I got old and told them. I mean, but as a 15, 16-year-old kid, I think it's cool that I'm sleeping with my friend's mom. You know,
right.
Like there's something wrong with that grown woman. You know what I mean? There's something wrong with me. You know, that sex was my thing. Porn was my thing. Like, and I got addicted to that stuff, which, I mean, that stuff will throw your brain off, throw your mind off, especially at I won't even say that, at any age. Porn will destroy your mind so bad. It will ruin your image of women. It will ruin your image, like your perception of sex. The stuff that happens in those things don't happen in real life.
Right.
And if you're sitting there taking all that in, it's going to ruin whatever you're trying to do in the bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I totally agree.
That's one of the things now, like I struggled with porn when I got out of the hospital for a little bit.
Yeah.
I struggled with being alone when I got out of the hospital. I had to be alone. Like I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't drive. So like I had to sit with myself. And my mom, she was on me like a hawk. She wasn't letting no freedom. Like I almost died. She had to plan my funeral. Like she wasn't letting me out of her sight until she knew I could stand by myself and be trusted by myself. And so and I didn't want to do drugs. When I came out of the hospital, I had my mind made up. I'm not going back to that. But it sucked because I had to feel feelings.
Yeah.
And I would cry a lot because it's like, dang, I was a piece of crap. Dang, I did this. Dang, I did that. I ruined this relationship. But God started, like, those relationships started mending themselves. You know what I mean? Like, people started seeing that I'm putting one foot in front of the other and I'm trying to do better. So they were giving me a little bit of trust, and those relationships were coming back. And I started seeing myself like I wasn't alone. Sure, I was alone in my bedroom, but I wasn't alone. I had my mama, I had my stepdad, I had my dad, my sister. I had more friends and family than I thought I had. I swore I ruined every relationship that I could ever have. And people were calling daily, checking on me. Chase, how you doing? Chase, calling, FaceTiming me daily, talking to me. And, those phone calls, of course, with time, they dwindle down, but I know they're there. And they know I'm there, It's just God showed me the relationships that really matter versus the ones that didn't matter. And it's crazy. My mom got on my Facebook and she like blocked everybody that wasn't worth a crap. And, she did all that, mama bear stuff. People would try to add me on Facebook and she would message them like, "Who are you? How do you know my son? Are you on drugs?" I brought Shay over. She was like, "I'm gonna ask you straight up. Do you do drugs?" And Shay was like, "No." She's like, "Are you gonna be good to my son?" She was like, "Yeah, your son gonna be good to me."
That's what you have to do, though. It's like whenever you're getting sober, it's like that was one of the things that kept me always relapsing was I would never let go of those friends that were still in the game. Like I always had their number in my back pocket or in my phone.
So I threw my phone out the window. On the way to the hospital, I threw my phone out the window. I had no memory. It took me 4 months to finally remember my old Facebook password.
Wow.
To remember my iTunes. It took me long enough to be away from being able to contact anybody. Like, like that's how God works.
That's crazy. Yeah, you got lucky.
I couldn't remember my iTunes password, so I had to make a new iCloud. I had to make a new iTunes. I didn't have none of my old pictures, none of my old contacts. I had to make a new Facebook, and the only people that were getting on my Facebook were people my mama was approving. Like now I got almost 5,000 friends, and a lot of them are people that I used to do drugs with. It's just one of them things. Like, I love them. I'm here for you. I'll help you whenever you're ready. But I keep them at arm's length, It's crazy how God works and how it all worked out to where even if I wanted to, my mom was tracking my damn phone like I was a little kid,
Good.
I would, which I figured out a way around that. I went and saw my ex-girlfriend and the one I had before the hospital, the one that I thought poisoned me,
Yeah.
Like, I went and saw her a couple times, but every time I went over there, it was just bad, and I would get this sick feeling. I'm like, "Chase, you can't be here." And my mom would be blowing up my phone because her intuition was telling her, like, Chase is doing something, and my aunt called me and she was like, "Chase, you can't go, you can't go back to that." And so, it played back into my head, that kid coming to me when I was in my coma. You can't go back to that. You'll die. And so that's what keeps playing in my head is if I go back to that lifestyle, I'm going to die.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go to hell. And I'm terrified of hell. I used to make jokes about, bad jokes about the big man upstairs, like, QE, fuck God, who's God, like bad stuff. And, I don't care if I went to hell. I'm living in hell now. No, heck no. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want nothing to do with hell. Nothing to do with hell. So I'm going to do everything I can not to go there. And I'm going to do everything I can to help other people not go there.
Okay, tell me this. Somebody had asked a question. They said,
I can't see anything that's on your side, by the way.
Oh, it's okay. How do you? It was a question about they wanted to know what would you do to help? Like, if you're a family member of an addict, how do you help the addict? That's what they wanted to know from you.
So, the biggest thing is, and my thought is, don't enable them. Don't give them money. Don't baby them. Like, that's my thing. I tell people a lot. If you enable an addict, you will end up burying that addict. You know what I mean? And there's a thing. You can love them. They're going to think you hate them. And if an addict's unhappy with you, that's a good thing. If an addict is unhappy with how you're treating them, that's a good thing. You don't want to push them to the point where they stop talking to you. You want to make sure that they still know they can come talk to you. They can still reach out to you if they need to. But you need to let them know you ain't going to be putting up with their bull crap. Like, I know you're – and they're going to try every line underneath the sun. You just let them know, like, dude, I'm here for you, but I'm not here to hear your bull crap. An addict is going to get help when they're ready to get help. No matter what I say, no matter what she says, no matter what you say, it's not going to click into their head and be like, okay, well, I'm ready. It's up to them. An addict will get sober when they're ready to get sober. The best thing you can do to help them get to further on along that process is don't enable them. Don't give them money. Don't. My mom, she would let me come sleep over there, take a shower. She would let me eat her food. But it wasn't no permanent stay.
Yeah.
It wasn't it was a permanent stay if I was going to not do drugs.
Right.
She would help me out if I wasn't going to do drugs. But the minute they saw some sketchy behavior, I felt that it was time for me to get out of the house because I knew they were going to tell me, hey, you got to go. You know, so sure, feed them, give them something to eat. You know, let them, if they want to come sleep. I don't know, man. They got to experience that tough love. You know, they got to experience that. If they know they can get high and go to your house and sleep on your couch for free every night, they're going to continue to get high.
And my husband, his mom did him just like your mom did you with I tell my husband it handicapped him because she thought she was helping him and it hindered him because she would bail him out all the time. He had no consequences to his actions. And then I came around, you know, and I'm watching his mom and dad like bail him out of everything. And my parents moved to fucking New York to get away from me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's hard whenever because I would watch my husband's mother like just rescue him all the time. And then when I married him, he relapsed after we got sober. And I was so upset because I had like 5 years sober and he relapsed. And I was